Oh, yes. Let's see, are we up and running? We are up and running. Let's get this started. Let's do this. Let's jump in here right away. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. I'm Hal Sparks. This is Hal Sparks Megaworldwide. I'll be your Hal Sparks for the evening. Thanks. I appreciate you enjoying Friday Eye this morning. It was Aaron Duran. I feel like I'm dragging you guys across the starting line with that show, but by God, we're going to keep at it because you're going to need to know this shit. Because one of the things that I've been talking about for a bit is how AI is, I jokingly called it the AI asteroid today on the show because that's, after the 2017, 2016 election into 2017, everybody was putting around these like, giant asteroid 2020 shirts and that kind of shit. And it never came, and it's not going to. And I'm sorry to tell you, but the world is not going to end. It's just going to keep on chugging, and it will, as usual, be our responsibility to fix everything fucking again. But the closest thing to something that is as sort of shocking, I'm trying to bring up a graphic that I have. There you go. Yeah. The closest thing I could bring up to, that thing was what I was talking about this morning, the AI asteroid, which is headed towards Earth at a breakneck speed, ladies and gentlemen. And let me tell you, when this thing fully lands, right now, it's arguably it's already pierced the atmosphere and is affecting things. But we have not quite reached the point where the impact has been fully felt. But you're going to get a taste of what the dinosaurs felt in the next 5 years. It's a slower asteroid, but it's a big one. And at one point, it's going to just peg the meter on life being different. And Donald Trump is going to be there. Sorry about that dummy's face. I apologize. I should warn you whenever Rapey McFivehead is coming up. And we're going to be dealing with him, obviously. But one of the things I was concerned about in many ways, and this is, obviously very little solace, but as a reality, is that I was concerned that the Biden administration, into Harris or whomever at the end of that administration in the next round, would be right at the peak of AI and jobs being taken by automation and robots and all that kind of stuff. Well, that timeline, thanks to Elon Musk and the hatred of immigrants and the advances that have already happened, that timeline has sped up. That quickening has occurred. And I'm here to tell you, if he lives, Donald Trump will be president during the biggest collapse in the job market in the history of Earth. And if he croaks by then, it'll be J.D. Vance. Now, I'm not kidding. And the irony that Elon Musk, Mr. Electric Car, is right next to the motherfucker who's going to end his electric car subsidies, is also going to be the guy standing there with the robots waiting in tow, in theory, that will take over everyone's job. Is the irony should be lost on no one. Now, granted, robots will be doing the jobs that humans don't need to do and don't want to do and are dangerous and all that stuff first. Absolutely. But shortly after that, they'll be doing some of the, oh, that's kind of cool jobs. And then they'll be doing jobs, I think, the primary use of them going forward will be jobs that we never even thought about doing because somebody will get killed doing that. And robots will allow us to go, well, I don't know, try it. If he gets crushed, it'll be okay. Like, you know what I mean? Yes, and I said quickening. Yeah. So, let's see. What do you think about banks falling apart and we all have to go crypto? No. Yeah, the crypto thing is just a way for them to shuffle around money without paying taxes when the shit hits the fan. And it's still not going to work. It's going to boost for a while, and then somebody else is going to rip off everybody's crypto, and it's going to collapse again. You can't buy anything with it. You can't sell anything with it. Not really. So it's just a way to store money. It's a piggy bank. And the idea, it's a piggy bank that you could trick people into thinking has more in it than it actually does. Just saying. They're coming after our men. Look out, ladies. Yes, they are. They're going to replace all your men. There's going to be a lot of idle men out there. That said, we'll deal with that as it comes along, but that's just a reality. I don't know. Well, we'll see. There's been a mixed reaction to Donald Trump's suggestions. No surprise, because he's doing them in many ways just for the controversy of it. To who Donald Trump wants to put in place, namely RFK Jr. and Matt Gaetz getting the most attention, almost making Pete Hegseth and Tom Homan look normal by comparison, which may be the goal. Again, these may be serious choices or just flippant choices, but they also might be distraction choices. And Trump does this kind of shit all the time, so it shouldn't be surprising that won't ultimately get, whoever the AG is will still be a terrible, terrible person, but won't be raping McForehead, right? Same thing is true of RFK Jr., although I think he could be, by the end of this, the Democratic equivalent of Fauci as far as how people feel about him. Like, this guy's going to get everybody killed, which is kind of true. The question is, who would get more people killed? Raping McForehead, who would release a bunch of murders or call up the FBI tracking down serial killers because he wants to prioritize Trump going after people that he doesn't like, or RFK Jr., who will just be responsible for the biggest E. coli and polio, I guess, epidemics in the modern era. Who can say? YouTube is censoring comments again. Well, watch your dirty, dirty language, you naughty clowns. And also hit the like, share the show. Irritate those maggots, ladies and gentlemen. I know you can do it. Also, share the show on Blue Sky if you're on there. It's a great idea. As a matter of fact, that's what I'm going to do right now. Let's see. How do I do that? I take this, and then I think I could just get the YouTube link on it. Would probably be the thing. Yeah. Copy the links. Let's see. Go to the live. And where's the live? I've got to reload this page. And the live should pop up there because it's funny. And they go, get shareable link. Okay, got that. And then we go over to the Blue Sky. Blue skies, nothing but blue skies. And I will put it into the thing while I'm talking while you guys talk amongst yourself. Blue sky. A few moments later. And just see if this works. Just post this straight here. Boink, boink, boink. Paste. And just try it that way. Okay, now it's up on Blue Sky. Isn't that nice? Hi, everybody. Welcome to the first Blue Sky episode of Hal Sparks Mega Worldwide. Now that you're watching, it's very nice for you to join us. And we are live. You can go to YouTube and subscribe. You can go to Twitch and subscribe. You can become a member on YouTube and really help us out. You can support the show through Patreon and all that kind of stuff. And I'm not going to talk about it the rest of the show. I got shit to do. I got a show to put on. I know everybody's better at sales than I am. I know that's why they got bigger numbers. I give a fuck. Let's get on with it. All right. Here we go. So, ladies and germs, if I may, I'm not going to take you straight to raping McForehead. We'll go straight to Eva Brownshirt over here at Fox News. This is Laura Ingraham, if you don't know who this lady is, but that's her name, and that's how you pronounce it, Laura Ingraham. And the title of this is a ticking time bomb. She reacts to President Trump nominating RFK Jr. Is that supposed to be positive? She opens with this stupid monologue called The Angle. What would I call, what should my opening monologue be called? The Ramble. No. The Sparkle. It just gets, see how stupid it gets so quickly? Right? So, anyways, Eva Brunchert thinks this is a ticking time bomb. Yeah, maybe the fact that she realizes that if we're going to be attacked with a bioweapon, our enemies need only wait a couple of months.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Laura Ingraham. This is the Ingraham Angle reporting from Florida tonight. A flurry of new Trump nominations released today. One of his outside counsels, Todd Blanche, as his deputy attorney general. Former Congressman.
I love how that guy, who's an actual functional attorney, even though he sucks, as his deputy attorney general. Why did he become how did Matt Gaetz get AG and this guy gets deputy attorney general? Well, because it's bullshit. That's why.
Doug Collins of Georgia for VA secretary, and former Missouri solicitor.
Oh, that's good, because apparently Ramaswamy and Musk are going to cut VA funding. So that should be fun. Hey, we need to start setting up cage match graphics for each of these people. He's a guy who likes to pretend he gives a shit about veterans while serving under a guy who said that they're suckers and losers, versus a guy who wants to just cut every dime out of everything because who gives a shit? They've already served their purpose. You shouldn't have to feed and house cannon fodder. Let's see how they duke it out.
Solicitor General John Sauer as SG Solicitor General of the United States. But first, consider the source. That's the focus of tonight's angle.
By the way, that's a phrase my mother used to say all the time. Consider the source, and you will not sully it. Laura Ingraham.
All right, we knew it was coming. Speaking of new picks, Trump picks RFK Jr. to head the Department of Health and Human Services. And this only adds to the
I'm up on YouTube. I'm on YouTube, everybody. We're live on here. We're on Twitch. We're good. Some people are like, he's not up. I'm there.
Number of heads blowing off the shoulders of official Washington tonight. Now, the effort to discredit the RFK Jr. nomination has been underway ever since he endorsed Trump back in August. A Vox headline, Trump really could empower RFK Jr. to wreck public health. From the New Republic.
Yeah, so far, no lies detected.
Trump officially gives RFK Jr. a chance to destroy the country's health. And my personal favorite from the Arizona Public Health Association, why RFK as HHS secretary could mean the end of evidence-based public health policy. Okay, evidence-based health? How about this evidence?
Yeah.
A record number of Americans are suffering from chronic illnesses. 1 in 6
Okay, so this is going to be her fallback, because he has 4 sensible ideas that most people agree with, and 600 insane ones will focus on the... Okay, does anybody know how a fucking cult works? All right. Do you have any idea how many, like, cults... I think it's the Hare Krishnas have a free vegan dinner you can go to. So do the Nichiren Shoshu Buddhists in Los Angeles. There's free coffee at the Scientology Center if you go in and get your test, right? And the coffee's great. It's great. I mean, I've never had it, but I hear it's great. And the vegan meals sound just lovely. And what a wonderful thing to have. I think, veganism, you can eat some vegan food. That's not a bad thing, especially in California. You'll lure a bunch of people into that. Seems completely sensible. Now give us all your shit, take off all your clothes, and go in the room with the Ramaswamy. That you do realize they have to have like 4 sensible ideas, or you wouldn't buy any of it, dumbass. What do you think wolf in sheep's clothing means? You have to have the sheep's clothing. That's the sheep's clothing part, fuckwad.
Adults now has diabetes. And by 2050, given current trends, about 61% of adults are predicted to develop cardiovascular disease.
Now, real quick, How many of those per capita are in red states? How many? Da 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 fumpa da 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 dump. Da 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 bo da da da. Where's this?
And when you say per capita, there's many per capitas. It's like per capita relative to what?
How many people think that a lot of this happens in Trump land? So the idea is that I guess RFK Jr. is going to put fucking Trump land on a diet. Good luck, motherfucker.
So RFK understands this is a ticking time bomb for our families, for our hospitals, our doctors, our nurses, our local, state, and federal budgets.
Right. And instead of having Medicare, Medicaid, and large, health care providers be able to negotiate prices of drugs for, people that do become sick, we're just going to blame it on the people and have them, just go, it's a lifestyle thing. Fuck them. If they have a heart attack, why are we even treating them? That's what he's talking about. And again, guess what, red states? The reckoning is coming.
And all of this is happening, by the way, as we're spending more on health care than ever before. Now,
yeah, because we have more options than ever before, you dumbass. People used to just die. You get it, right? You know why we didn't pay this much in the fucking 30s or the 50s or even the 70s? Because we didn't have all this equipment. We didn't have all these drugs. People just died. They just fucking died. Nobody went into cancer remission. If you were lucky, your body just did it and people thought it was faith healing. You dumb motherfucker. Of course, we pay more for cars because they're safer now. They have seatbelts and airbags. Airbags and seatbelts are more expensive than cars that don't made without them. What the fuck? Everything's more expensive because you live. We're paying more for paint since they took the lead out. Jesus Christ.
in 2022, when we have good numbers, we spent $4.5 trillion or $13,493 per person on health care. That's more than any developed nation, but without...
Hold on. We also count stuff as health care that other countries don't have as well. And they don't consider it health care. Under it's just stuff you do in your own life, right? We don't consider a lot, even the mental health care stuff. A lot of those, quote, developed countries either do or don't include it. It's a mix of different shit. So it's state to state, it's different. Some states don't count fucking anything. Some states like California, New York count everything, right? And most of these developed nations you're talking about are the fucking size of Washington State.
Any better results. So, speaking of evidence, logic would indicate that what we've been doing...
Also, gibberish. Let me tell you something. We have... Hold on. Okay. In 2021, 48,000 people died of gun-related deaths. Most of them, nearly all of them actually, did it to themselves. Did themselves in with a gun. 48,830 people. Now, do you think, because we consider that a mental health problem, which we should, and everybody who does it isn't 100% successful when it happens, and so they live for a couple of days and they get health care at the emergency room or in the ICU until they pass away, right? Those folks, you think that's considered health care? You think that's considered a bad health care outcome? You fucking A right it is. It's considered a rando death. And a good portion of those folks are chronically in pain, older, don't have options in their lives, and that's what they use, right? They use it as a way out. It's terrible. And that number is enormous. And none of these other countries you're talking about have guns like we do, so they don't have that number. Just swipe that fucking number right out of there. Okay? 1,000 per state. That's the other reason. We don't have bad outcomes. We have more extreme, like, wounds. We have more extreme circumstances that take people's lives, and when you go, you go. But the idea that we don't stack up with other states is another, it's like the education thing. It's bullshit. We're not 50th in the world. We're like 12th. And every other country that is better than us is fucking way smaller. And I got news for you. If it wasn't for the red states, we'd kick their ass. How many do you think the national grade scores are dragged down by the schools in Washington State, Oregon, California, New York, anywhere in the Northeast, fucking Illinois? Or do you think maybe, just maybe, Nebraska, Arkansas, Mississippi, West Virginia, and the test scores in those states are fucking up our bell curve? What do you think? Now, you know what? Sorry, Laura. Go back to shitting on America.
Doing isn't working. And ipso facto, we need a fresh perspective before we as a people get even sicker.
Right. And nothing is fresher as a perspective than Jews and the Chinese came up with COVID and it was a plan to kill us all, because it's really weird that they don't get it, don't you think?
But more fury and fear over the RFK nomination in a few moments. But one thing again,
I don't know what. No. Stick to the topic, lady.
and we do know conclusively, the gatekeepers of the bureaucracy, whether it's at HHS or anywhere else, and those who get rich from the status quo in D.C.
Real quick, HHS and the FDA not only regulate food, but also the additives in makeup. And if some toxins are allowed to work their way into that system, some people will be more vulnerable to the danger and damages than others. Just floating that.
are always going to be threatened by anyone demanding accountability.
No. Yeah, accountability is not the problem. As a matter of fact, that's what the entire function of the House and the Senate is for. That's what it is. That's their primary. They don't do it, but that's their primary job. Nobody's worried about accountability, lady. What we're worried about is this asshole starting a polio epidemic from scratch. Like all this stuff that we had put in the fucking rearview mirror, and this dickhead's like, let's bring it back. Let's question everything, even though we've had decades of success.
And this explains a lot of the frenzy over Trump's recent cabinet picks. Tulsi Gabbard as director of national intelligence? You think Trump had given it to Putin himself?
He basically did, yeah. I mean, granted, Putin was never in a cult, which I linked to the Hare Krishna cult, but not quite. It's almost like the. How would you describe the cult she's in? It's somewhere between it's like the Branch Davidian version of a prosperity gospel version of the Hare Krishnas.
We're bringing in Russia's influence is what this is. We have people like Tulsi Gabbard who are spreading Kremlin talking points.
He's an admirer both of Bashar Assad of Syria and an apologist for Vladimir Putin of Russia.
Tulsi Gabbard has a long history of siding with the analysis of Russian state propaganda, Syrian state propaganda.
I mean, they can't help themselves.
Right, because it's true. That's why they can't help themselves, you weirdo. Why would you laugh that off? Look, there's only one real response to this, because that's a huge accusation. You'll notice that I get a bit fiery at times when stuff like this comes up. And I think that's the appropriate response. If you actually believe what you say you believe, and you're responding naturally in the situation. But a big fake Tucker laugh to kind of cover, that's absurd, just tells me you're on her team.
Oh, Pete Hegseth at DOD? The MIC, Military Industrial Complex, has gone to DEFCON 1 over this pick.
Pete Hegseth inarguably is not qualified for the position.
This idea.
Yeah, again, don't play clips that make total sense. Also, Tammy Duckworth lost her legs in battle. Fuck you, lady. She's not the military-industrial complex. She served in battle and then serves in Congress.
That you can exclude women from combat is really one that shows his lack of experience and really, you know, him being unqualified to be the Secretary of Defense.
He is the most unqualified candidate for this position in the history of America. This is very dangerous.
Also, real quick, I know this is nitpicking, but has anybody seen a military contractor or the CEO of Lockheed Martin or a spokesperson for them or even I don't know, the fucking military corps, anybody who would qualify as the military industrial complex? What you're showing me is people who've served in battle, people who in all three of these cases, I believe, and people who advocate for veterans so far.
Matt Gaetz' nomination as AG, well, of course, that's already in serious trouble. Some even speculating that the nominee himself knew all along it'd be a long shot. I mean, who knows? A House Ethics report on...
I know. It's definitely a long shot. Is it possible as a recess appointment because Trump is a fucking insane person? Maybe. But it seems like they gave him a reasonable excuse to step down. And if he just can't get through the process, they'll just give him a White House advisory appointment to keep him afloat until he goes to jail.
Gaetz was ready to be released on Friday, but since he resigned, well, the committee loses jurisdiction over the matter. Still, Tricky Dick Durbin sees an opening to hurt Trump by forcing the reports released to the Senate, where, if passed as prologue, we can all be assured that that contents is sure going to leak.
It's sure. I think so. Sure, it says you're sure it's going to leak. Well, I got news for you. Biden can pardon the leaker. Doesn't matter. Yeah, anything he does. I mean, he could arguably make a presidential decision that, you know, protecting women from a rapist becoming the, you know, and in the alleged rapist in that actual ethics report, which they were going to find him guilty of and recommend that he be kicked out, and he bails right before. Biden can release it if he just thinks of him as a national security threat going forward. Period. Just the idea that a U.S. citizen who is not a sitting member of Congress, who has evidence against him, might hold a position or tries to, the White House can actually just release it. And what are they going to do? Try to find the leaker? And what if Biden does it himself and pardons, you know, or has somebody does it, go, release that. He tells them to hand it to somebody and then he pardons them. Biden needs to know that. I think he already does. I would assume he does.
Trump's team.
And I also, yes, I do think Biden should pardon Hunter just because it'll save us all a lot of grief.
Team had to know what the Hill reaction to this would actually be.
A Republican friend of mine who's also friends with Matt Gaetz told me last night he thought this appointment was the worst thing that's ever happened to the country.
This is the first step, likely, in Trump's revenge tour against the Department of Justice.
He is the exhibit A to weaponization. I mean, we are in pure George Orwell 1984 land.
Thank you, Andrew. Of course, we can't predict what's going to happen or if...
Well, here's what I would suggest. Your show's an opinion show, dummy. What's your opinion? I mean, you seem to be against it / for it. You really are straddling that say nothing line there, Laura. I'm guessing you're against it. I'm guessing you know he's a scumbag. I'm guessing you're hoping somebody else does your job for you. But I don't know anybody even like maybe Lindsey Graham or somebody like that, who's even playing footsie with this idea. Either they're all in just because Trump should be allowed to do whatever the fuck he wants, which seems to be the how they're doing it, so they can blame it on him later, by the way. They're avoiding the question of how dangerous RFK Jr. would be or how disgusting Matt Gaetz is as a human being by just going, Trump won, he should be allowed to do whatever the fuck he wants. That's how they're getting away. That way, if he does something, violent, skeevy, awful, or whatever, they can they'll just go, well, he didn't know. He thought he was a firebrand. He was going to do some great stuff. He fucked around. It's like Jeff Sessions. You can't win them all, and it's not his fault. Trump was just trying to, go for the gold or whatever. They'll just lay it all at Matt Gaetz' feet and broom him out of there. And I mean, if RFK Jr.'s thing goes south, then we've got a decade of sick kids. That's what we're going to have to fight back against. That's why states are going to be state health departments are going to be super important going forward, because there's going to be zero coordination. What it means is there's going to be huge disease outbreaks in red states and farmland, because what the fuck happens to E. coli and avian flu if the guy leading HHS thinks they're both a hoax?
If this is a way to force the Senate to accept recess appointments, but incoming Senate Majority Leader John Thune is leaving all options on the table.
And I always believe that you defer to a president when it comes to the people they want in their cabinet and to do a lot of these important jobs. But obviously there is a process whereby we get down and scrub all these nominees and figure out whether or not, one, they're qualified and are they people who are fit to hold these offices.
And the answer is no and no.
Well, I certainly hope that as they carry out their advise and consent role, Republican senators remember that Donald Trump is the reason they even have a majority.
No. No, a lot of them are again, the timing of the Senate is one thing because not everybody's up at the same time. So especially the senators don't necessarily believe that. And certainly not Thune. If you're voting for Thune, you're not voting for fucking Trump. And just because you're voting Republican, because you want stable Republicans in there, it's even more so they're representative of a group that doesn't like Trump within their own party. And certainly no Democrat voted for them. So fuck off with this. He's got a 1.2% majority right now. It's not a mandate. Calm the fuck down.
And as Republicans fight amongst themselves, perhaps...
Right. I'm just going to enjoy that for 1 second. Okay, I'm good.
Democrats plan to use every avenue to block Trump.
Yes, we do.
Even forming, and they're admitting this, a shadow cabinet.
We can't let Donald Trump's extreme MAGA agenda go unanswered or unopposed. Zone defense isn't going to work. We're going to have to go man on man. We need to borrow from our British friends and appoint a shadow cabinet to fight back against the worst abuses of a second Trump administration. A team from the opposition that mirrors the government's own cabinet members.
Okay.
They watch the cabinet closely, publicly challenging, scrutinizing, and...
Okay. All right. So what it means is assign members of the caucus, the Democratic caucus, to each of these departments and go, you're going to be the point person to push back on this dickhead. We'll all work on bills and committees and stuff like that, but you don't have an actual shadow cabinet when you've got this out front. What they mean is they're going to have a point person that will be assigned to watching each of these departments like a hawk. Good.
Offering new ideas. It's another form of checks and balances, a quiet guardrail that holds those in power accountable.
Wait, it's another form of checks and balances. Was that in the Constitution? I must have missed that. I love when they bring their props, by the way.
Well, obviously, it's not in the Constitution that the president is not allowed to be charged with a crime or guilty of a crime while he's in office. That was an interpretation by the SCOTUS that this asshole put there. Sorry. Oh, God. Sorry about that, guys. 1 second. I don't know why they chose that picture, but I should be quicker on that. I need a button that throws my nut warning up. Yeah, I need another Stream Deck. I'm running out of buttons. Eek. Yeah, I mean, again, this is essentially trench lawfare, lady.
So this makes it even more critical for President Trump to have all his ducks in a row on the Hill before making big appointments. He's always been more effective that way. There's no time to waste.
What? Sorry, he's always been more effective when he has his ducks in a row? When the fuck did that happen? Lady, he didn't pass anything. The Republican tax cut was already drafted when he came into office. It had been sitting in Mitch McConnell's desk drawer for almost a decade. Which part of it? His big, beautiful health care plan? His ACA repeal and replace? His big, beautiful, amazing, dignified Afghan withdrawal that never fucking happened? The plan to make Mexico pay for a wall that runs the length of the entire border, even through native and private land, which means eminent domain, that would have to pass through the House and the Senate, which means giving Texas land back to Mexico. Ducks. Get the fuck out of here.
While all this plays out, we should also consider the source or sources of this incoming stream of criticism.
Oh, yeah. Right here, lady. The deep state himself, the Democratic machine. You know, I was benched far too much. I mean, granted, I started my show later than everybody else. There's all these other channels been on for 5-10 years even. So I know I'm the new kid on the block, but sometimes you got to put the rookie in. Sometimes you got to let me, move the ball down the field. It's about fucking time. So, yes, consider the source. This is the source, lady. From now on. Direct all incoming fire this way, Laura.
I mean, these people have been wrong about pretty much everything. Propping up Biden's terrible cabinet picks just because they were first this or first that. Of course, with...
Oh, that's her DEI reference. Black, female, gay, that kind of stuff.
The help of their friends in the press.
President-elect Joe Biden announcing historic picks for top posts in his cabinet, including former Federal Reserve Chair Janet Yellen to be the country's first woman Treasury Secretary.
Joe Biden's cabinet.
Wait, didn't Trump just, his chief of staff is the first woman holding this spot, right? Isn't he doing the same shit? I mean, yeah, she's not a DEI hire. She's from Trump land.
Nominees look like America, quite frankly. Diversity in thought, diversity in race, in gender, in everything. That is what America looks like.
Joe Biden has appointed the most diverse cabinet in history.
And has had like the quickest and strongest recovery from COVID of any country on earth. And we still do.
That's all that mattered. Forget qualifications, but that made them qualified because...
Oh, fuck you, lady. No. Wait, and by the way, can I share something with you? Let's see if I can... I think I put this in my... Yeah, I put it in here. Hold on. Okay, chat room, real quick. Since she's going to pick on Pete Buttigieg for being gay, which is what that's all about, and that's just gross. I would like to remind you. Let's see if I can find this. I think it should be the Can I open this page up? There we go. Yeah, here we go. Now, sometimes we need to put a flag in the ground. Okay? Joe Biden is still president right now. It is not even December yet. We're halfway through November. He's still got a couple months left, and that's crucial. Okay? But I want to put a flag in the ground and go, this is where we are. Okay? This is where we we are at this moment in history. Okay? This is where we are right now. And let me tell you something. The wind-up, Trump is going to coast into one particular area because Joe Biden set him up with this, the same way Obama set him up in his first year, because these guys actually give a fuck about our economy and our people. Okay? So let's take a look at this real quick. This is Bloomberg Market the Big Take. They break this down quite a bit, but oil was written off. Now it's the most productive U.S. industry. Oil and gas extraction has seen the fastest labor productivity gains of any sector in the past decade. Now, that's important on two fronts. One, on what you, how you do it safely, environmentally consciously, and as best you can with, you know, as inexpensively as possible. Okay. But Trump thinks this is going to bring a bunch of jobs back. We're going to bring these jobs back because drill, baby, drill. And we're going to have a bunch of oil and we're going to sell the liquid gold and blah, blah, blah. Okay, here we go. There's a bunch of stuff in here. You know, they tell the story. It's just, here you go. It's astonishing, really. You get people, where is it? Okay. Yeah, here it is. Conventional wisdom called for the drilling of 4 wells into the ground, then horizontally to access layers of oil-soaked rock, a technical feat perfected by the U.S. shale industry. But the plot of land was too narrow, limiting each well's reach and likely making them unprofitable. So the engineers tried a novel concept, a U-turn. After boring vertically to the shale layer, they went sideways for 1 mile, curved the well around, and then drilled back to where it began. Excuse me. It worked. Matador was able to pump the oil with 2 wells instead of 4, essentially cutting costs in half. It's astounding, really, said Matador Chief Executive Joseph Ferran. You give people a target, and they'll find out better ways, better equipment, better techniques. The U-turn, or horseshoe well, as it's called, is an example of the small improvements that together have pushed oil and gas producers to the biggest labor productivity gains of any U.S. sector over the past decade, including tech-related industries, which have historically ranked first, although the reason they're outpacing them is because AI is now formed the necessity of hiring a bunch of people to build out these server farms and to work on AI. So there's a job boom around it that will then contract the same way oil did. Just letting you know. The nation's crude output has risen to a record 13.3 million barrels a day, 48% more than Saudi Arabia. We are almost we're almost doubling what they do. Like in another 2 years is the idea that we will, at the speed of this. 13.3 million barrels a day. All with less than a third of the rigs and far fewer workers than we needed 10 years ago. That's the big part. Far fewer workers. Same thing will be true of coal, natural gas, all these industries. Far fewer workers. So this is the U-turn well that they talk about. That's how they do them. They used to do this kind of thing with L-shaped wells. Now they do U-turn wells. There's high-tech fracturing. There's the 2-for-1 fracking. They go up and down. I don't know what this business. Catered barbecue, remodeling living quarters, field crews, cash bonuses. Some of the lures used to motivate workers to drill faster and save money and be out of a job quicker. Hey, when are you getting fired? Sooner rather than later. Would you like another rubber hot dog? Absolutely, NPC friend of mine who also has beer with no cap on it. Okay. It's gone from being an outsider of the world's crude market to stealing market share from OPEC, turning the U.S. into a net exporter of petroleum and becoming an engine of the economy. Not going to already. Investors were fleeing this sector just a few years ago, betting on the green transition, which they are still doing. But the iterative process of drilling thousands of wells each year and learning from each one has been a major reason why. Okay, oil production. U.S. oil production will grow by 600,000 barrels a day in 2025. Do you understand? By hook or by crook. Fucking nothing to do with Trump becoming president. Nothing. You hear me? This is because of stuff that started under Biden. 600,000 barrels a day more. That's about 50% more than this year's growth. Due to higher well productivity, according to Bloomberg NEF. Okay? You know, the left-wing think tank. Bloomberg. All right. You have a highly productive energy sector that covers larger, Central Bank Community, covers up for the larger commodity shocks compared to the 80s. And we're broadly, this is the other part where we are protected against oil shock in the Middle East. And with Russia, if we don't need it and we make all of it here. Right now, we use about 19 million barrels a day and we're producing 13 with an overage, okay? And we can buy cheaper oil from other countries. But if we get up to the 19 point, we never need anybody else's, okay? That's the idea. That's what a lot of people, that's what everybody's been pushing for. This is where this push has been going. We're also trying to lower the amount. So right now, if we, let's say we make 13, we can get to 15, and then we're at 19, and we could drop that extra 4 down, right? If we can take the extra 4 off through efficiency, electric cars, and that kind of stuff, we meet in the middle is effectively what they're talking about, okay? Now, what's the other part of this? Lower crude prices, profit, thanks to efficiency, there's a part in this. Here it goes. Yeah. U.S. shale won't be able to outmuscle OPEC forever. Eventually, production will decline as fields are tapped out. The International Energy Agency, meanwhile, predicts that global oil demand will level off in 2029 as we shift away from fossil fuels. While share buybacks and dividends will lure some investors back to the sector, many haven't returned. Efficiency gains help keep the U.S. competitive as the resource base degrades over time. The resource base degrades over time. Eventually, you will run out of oil. And by 2029, there's going to be a massive excess, is the idea. By the end of next year, it's already going to be a glut. Okay, but in the end, geology always wins, is what he's talking about. Okay. Even the shale revolution, 15 years old, a higher level of project, add 10 trillion to gross domestic product. Okay, yeah, there it is. So this is energy, and by the way, productivity gains in percentage. This is, I would also like to say, kind of bullshit, because material extraction was shit for a long time, and then it got smart relatively quickly. So the productivity gains were just unrealized, and technology is what's brought it about. So this pink line information tech is one of the reasons why this has gone up. Okay, the growth in this sector drives this sector up, and then it'll fall off and peak and level out, because you can only go so far, right? In the end, geology wins. So there was one more thing. Topic of debate among how much of the recent jump is being driven by artificial intelligence, extended productivity. Past decade, there's a Permian Basin. Yeah, okay. We're getting more efficient in everything we're doing. We're getting more for every dollar we spend applying new technologies. Chevron has doubled production in the Permian to nearly 1 million barrels a day just in the past 5 years without making significant acquisitions, meaning that they're getting more out of the wells because they're doing these U-turns. Then there's, often you'll hear, up 3 miles, afternoon. It's a huge breakdown of this thing. Google Maps. $70 make a profit, but a decade later you can make money on a $40 barrel range. That's in the United States, not over there. Break-even prices in the Permian Basin. This is the price required for profitable well has gone way down, and this is the actual price for what they're charging. If you'll notice, and obviously 2021, because they were selling to more people, it was about demand. Monster shale wells. And then there's the part about China. This will, okay. Where are they? I think it's right before this. Yeah, here you go. This is the big part that everybody is kind of talking about in the business sector about this. That's just important for you guys to know is happening in the background. And I'm just putting a flag in this right now. Because again, oil output's going to go up no matter what next year. As crude prices slid in July through September, in part because of faltering demand in China, it was OPEC that was forced to give away, not U.S. shale. The cartel delayed plans to restore long curtailed production as American drillers carried on increasing output. So they ended up just selling to China and making up the difference. I'll share this link in the chat. This is it's a good read. It goes pretty in depth about this, but it's basically it's good news and bad news in that on the one hand you've got now there you go, the link is in the chat now. Be informed, not inflamed. Agreed. One of the reasons like why oil prices are going to go down next year is because of China's decreasing economic output and collapse. And the other reason is a rise in output here through efficiency. Hi, Spaz Swag. Those two things together are a perfect storm for lower oil prices. Right? Poo picker upper, I'm trying. I'll do you well. Don't worry. Because again, Trump thinks he's going to pay off everything with this liquid gold, and the price is going to go through the fucking floor next fall. Because there's too much of it. We're already overproducing. Right? So again, this is something that it would be healthy for people to be aware of.
They were diverse.
Hold on. Also, Buttigieg has been masterful as transportation secretary, and he'll make a good president one day. I really think so.
By the way, what did Mayor Pete do to qualify himself to run the Department of Transportation? Mayor of South Bend? Really?
I think it was because he just displayed intellectual capabilities, multilingual. He's very intelligent, I think, is the essence of it. As opposed to some creepy dumbass who shows pictures of teenage girls' tits to other congressmen on the floor, which seems to be Matt Gaetz's only qualification for this job.
What about Alejandro Mayorkas? His qualifications gave an invasion of illegal aliens to America.
No, he didn't. Title 42 did that. Feel free to @ me.
The message is quite clear. Do not come. The border is closed. The border is secure.
But even their credentialed picks were like former federal judge Merrick Garland. When they weren't working on ways to harass Trump, they were catering to BLM extremists.
The top domestic violent extremist threat comes from racially or ethnically motivated violent extremists, specifically those who advocated for the superiority of the white race.
Yeah, that's the number one. Partly by volume, dum-dum. Also, why would you get your asshole in a knot over people shitting on white supremacists? Why would that? And not white people deserve to be white and white's okay. It's all right. It's okay to be white. I'm white. You could have a good time being white, lady. I don't know. You're whiter than I am, allegedly, and you're fucking miserable. Maybe it's, maybe I'm a cast off because I got brown eyes or some shit like that. But I'm pretty fucking white, lady. And I don't get offended by that. I don't want the fucking Peckerwoods and the KKK blowing up Oklahoma buildings. Right? Honestly, the white supremacist gangs, specifically the Peckerwoods, in prisons are 2% of the population of prisons. 2%. Doesn't mean white people are 2% of the population, but the actual Peckerwood gang is 2%. And they are responsible for somewhere in the order of 60% of the murders for hire in prison. Yeah. I'm glad they're in prison. You dumbass.
Oh, I forgot. That was a golden oldie. And of course, we can't forget Biden's whiz-bang economic expert, Janet Yellen.
We've had several months of high inflation that most economists, including me, believe will be transitory.
Yeah. Do we have 9% inflation, dum-dum? She was right. She was right.
Transitory, it's still with us, still writing articles.
No, it isn't. No, it isn't. What's the inflation rate right now? 2.7? Hold on. Annual 2.4%. Jesus Christ.
Was about inflation too.
3.5 years after a fucking worldwide pandemic, and we've got 2.4% inflation, and 4.75% interest rates. Russia's interest rate is 21%. Their inflation rate is it's artificial, but it's 9 already still. It's still 9.
Today.
He just cut the pay of wounded soldiers. Putin just cut the pay of wounded soldiers coming back because he didn't want them coming back, quite frankly.
Over the past few years, Donald Trump was very clear that he wanted to finish the job he started in his first term. He intends to drain the swamp and restore trust and accountability in Washington.
Is this a rerun from 2016?
Now, this won't be easy. The Washington bureaucracy...
Excuse me. Fuck you, lady. He said it would be easy and quick, which I also think is his nickname for you. I kid. Come on. Yeah, he said it would not only be easy, it would be quick. It would... by the way, has it been 24 hours since the election yet? Is the Ukraine war still going on? What about Israel and Gaza and Lebanon and Iran? Is that over? Wasn't it? Wasn't it 24 hours after getting elected? Right away, before he even takes office. Wasn't that the promise?
Has been around a lot longer than any of the committed smart patriots committed to undoing it.
The committed, maybe they should be committed.
The establishment may have lost this last election to MAGA Republicans, but it's still well-funded, and it's still committed to surviving even the reform efforts of Elon Musk.
Also, by the way, he's calling his little Doge joke, his EGOD organization, the Department of Government Efficiency. It's not a department. It takes an act of Congress to create a department. It's a committee. It's COG at best.
Strategic thinking, strong nominees, and
and it won't do half of what the fuck they say it's going to do. So I'll call it Diet COG.
Well-placed allies on the Hill will make all the difference.
Hashtag Diet COG.
The momentum is Trump's to lose or use for phenomenal achievement.
Phenomenal. It's going to be phenomenal achievement. We're going to be tired of winning, right, lady?
As for the relentless criticism, always consider the source.
Yes, consider the source. Yes, I agree. I would, as a matter of fact, consider the source. I would actually check for VPNs at this point. I would like to consider the source all the way back to their IP address. Can we do that? Can we consider the source of the financial transfers of money of everyone in his cabinet? All right.
And that's the angle.
And that's the angle. By the way, I'm enjoying watching her try to choke down the Matt Gaetz shit along with everybody else. They don't like it. They hate him. They think it's embarrassing and ridiculous, but they're trying their best to polish this turd. So, and again, you break it, you buy it, motherfuckers. It'll be up to the states to protect their citizens. And I think, I really feel for anybody, a blue voter in a red state at this point. And if you're a woman living in those states, it's going to be a while before we can fix the law. So you might want to think about moving to a smarter state. I almost feel like they should do there should be like move-in bonuses for women leaving red states. Want to get an apartment here? We'll give you a move-in bonus. No, you don't have to get first and last on an apartment. None of that shit. All right. We shall see. Now, the 5 is reacting to the RFK Jr. thing, and it seems to me like they're going to spend a good portion of their time. I mean, I haven't seen this, so I don't know. But my guess is they are, let's see, the 5 discuss President-elect's latest cabinet pick as he continues to roll out his transition team, scoring the coveted trifecta. Okay, whatever. So we'll see. Jesse Waters will defend everything about this. But they are, like, this is fucking terrible and they know it.
Yeah, baby. Hi, I'm Greg Gutfeld, along with Judge Jeanine Pirro, Richard Fowler, Jesse Waters, and she just got nominated to be ambassador to Candyland. Dana Perino, the 5.
That is allegedly what passes for charm in Foxland.
The incoming Trump wrecking ball taking another swing at the Washington elite. President-elect Donald Trump nominating
the Washington elite. He's a fucking Kennedy. Please. Also, You're bringing in the richest man in the world to run a little like side project for you. Yeah, I'm sorry. This whole like counter elite bullshit they've been pushing, you can't be a billionaire and a counter elite. It does not work that way.
Robert F. Kennedy Jr. to lead the Department of Health and Human Services. Trump making the announcement on Truth Social saying, quote, Mr. Kennedy will restore these agencies to the traditions of gold standard scientific research and beacons of transparency to end the chronic disease epidemic and to make America great and healthy again.
He can't even slap the KFC out of this motherfucker's hand. Literally, there was a thing like, didn't RFK Jr. just say that? Yeah, hold on. RFK Jr. Trump eats poison. That's what he said. Trump fast food. Yeah, there it is. USA Today. Oh, get out of here. Okay. I don't want to disable my ad blocker, you weirdo. Yeah. This is the report. Trump's diet is poison and he never drinks water, says RFK Jr. The story that they fucking tell, like that RFK Jr. is talking about, like it's on this fucking panel, that they're talking, and he goes, the stuff he eats is really like bad. Campaign food is always bad, but the food that goes on that airplane is like just poison. You have a choice between, you don't have the choice. It's either KFC or Big Macs. That's like when you're lucky. And then the rest of the stuff I consider kind of inedible. Mr. Trump's McDonald's order consists of 2 Big Macs, 2 Filet-O-Fish, and a chocolate milkshake. In 2016, he was pictured eating from a bucket of KFC with a knife and a fork on a private jet. His drink choices are Diet Coke. RFK Jr. recalled Dana White, the chief executive of UFC, telling him he had never seen Trump drink a glass of water. Trump diet, breakfast, nothing. Bacon and eggs if he has to. I don't know what the fuck that means. Lunch, nothing. Meatloaf sandwich if he has to. Dinner, a full McDonald's menu, or a dinner of 2 Big Macs, 2 Filet-O-Fish sandwiches, and a small chocolate shake, a total of 2,430 calories. Or pizza, but not the crust. He's a fucking baby. Or KFC bucket. Jesus Christ. We elected Mr. Creosote. I couldn't eat another one. I'm absolutely stuffed. Motherfucker. So, or steak well done with ketchup. His former butler said it would rock on the plate. It was so well done. Oh, literally cooked it till it starts to arc up. God damn. Snacks. 12 Diet Cokes and Doritos. This dude is going to be like the Russian czars. Nothing happens, and then... I was with Dana White the other day. He was very close to Trump. They had a relationship for 20 years to UFC. He said he'd sit through a fight with Trump. He's there for 5 hours during the fight. He said he'd never see Trump drink a glass of water. Never. Increases diseases like diabetes, reduce calories. His former opponent will be able to go wild on healthcare. Wait, all right, that's it. Yeah. Jesus Christ. He couldn't even talk Trump out of a bucket of KFC and 12 fucking Diet Cokes. What the fuck?
Here's a flashback to what RFK Jr. promised.
Sorry, flashback?
Great and healthy again. Here's a flashback to what RFK...
A flashback. Okay. Are you drinking again? Is this a cry for help, Greg?
Jr. promised to do.
Don't you want a president who's going to end the corruption at the federal agencies, at FDA, at NIH, at CDC, and at the CIA?
And first of all, why are those related? Secondly, no. And you didn't get elected, motherfucker. You're being appointed by somebody who drinks 12 Diet Cokes and eats a bag of Doritos a day, doesn't eat breakfast or lunch, and eats a ginormous fucking McDonald's meal, and then shits himself. His butthole doesn't work anymore, you weirdo. And he picked you. Yeah, I've seen Trump drink water when he makes a speech. They have bottles for him. But that's because, they honest to God, it's because they tell him you can't have a glass of Diet Coke on the fucking stand. Because people will think you're drinking something else because you're slurring your words and you sound like shit. So they're afraid to put anything. I mean, obviously it could be vodka, I guess. But the idea is that, they're hiding something. Or the fact that he's drinking a soda to try and wet his whistle while he's talking. I don't know. Maybe the soft drink companies fired him or threatened to sue him for using their product during a speech.
Don't you want a
Everybody's going to think it makes you slur your speech.
president who's going to make America healthy again?
There you go. That personnel move comes as Trump scores the coveted trifecta. Fox News.
By the way, do you consider polio healthy?
Can project. Republicans have won the majority in the House of Reps, giving the GOP control of the White House, the Senate, and the House, and paving a clear path to push its agenda.
This is older, I guess.
His incoming director of national intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, lays out how Trump is already leading.
I think President Trump has already shown how active he has been in not waiting around for day one on January 20th or 21st, but he's already leading. He's already engaging with so many of these world leaders around the world on the phone constantly. And he's showing
bullshit, lady.
The kind of leadership that the American people voted for.
Bullshit.
Dana, there's this great meme going around where they took a montage of all these media hacks saying threat to democracy, threat to democracy, and they replaced democracy with bureaucracy. And when you hear
that's so good. Oh my God. It's I think that's one of the that's a meme that's got pizzazz.
It seems like that is actually the reality, whether it is Pete Hegseth, Tulsi, Vivek.
No. Nobody's worried about efficiency cuts in these areas. They're worried about these assholes being lunatics. This is going to cost us more money. It did last time.
Beck and Elon and now RFK Jr. It feels as though there truly is like a team of Avengers focusing on the excesses of government.
I love it. I want to see that meme. I must not have been on the
I'll send it to you after the show.
Okay, I love that.
Focus, Dana.
So this morning, I was getting for Newsroom, and I was thinking, okay, what do I think about these nominations? And I thought, you know what? I'm not going to worry about it. Because by 5 o'clock, there'll be something else.
Yeah.
And guess what? Now we're back on Trump time. There are 2 news cycles, maybe 3 news cycles in a day. By the time Jesse's show's on tonight and yours is on tonight.
Yeah, I won't even have to talk about Matt Gaetz. I can't possibly defend these things. So if I stick around long enough, he'll just flood the scene with bullshit, and I'll pick a turd that stinks the least.
There'll be something else. So
yes.
I'm just like rolling with it, and I've continued my answer to everybody who's texting me, what you think. We'll see. Right? So we'll see. I like Liam Donovan on Twitter. He said, or on X, excuse me. He said, there's some 40 Russian nesting dolls of nominations happening, because you have one, you're like, oh my gosh, and then you're like, oh yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if that's the analogy you'd want to go with. Russian nesting dolls kind of gives away the game, actually. That's as a matter of fact, that sounds like a Democrat meme, if I do say so my damn self.
Like that one, how about this one? And they just keep on coming. I am thinking about one thing though, and maybe there will be a big to-do about this. Voters said the number one issue was the economy, inflation, bringing prices down. And since the election, which was only a week and a couple of days ago, but we have all of these teams, but we don't have an economic team announced yet.
Right.
And so I'm waiting to hear that. Like, where's Treasury Commerce? Where are the prices coming down? Where's the plan? Who's the National Economic Council director at the White House? What are we doing?
Don't worry about it. It's going to be Armando Montalongo and Jared Kushner's Coke dealer, and who else? Captain Flim Flam, and I don't know, Mr. Vickers, who runs the old haunted amusement park.
And I also very much want to know who is going to be the secretary for the USDA. And for RFK Jr., that's a very important position, because you don't get school lunches from Health and Human Services.
Right.
That's all done through USDA, has a lot to do with the things that he cares about. So finding out who rounds out that package to me is what I'm waiting for.
Wow. Well, those are a lot of words from someone who said, we'll see.
We'll see.
Yeah. All right, Jesse.
He has no idea. And by the way, none of these motherfuckers like Matt Gaetz, even if they pretend to. Maybe Jesse does. Jesse seems like somebody who would party with Matt Gaetz.
Tulsi, a person who was put on a list and tailed by Intel services through the airport, is now in charge of all the people that were following her. Is that a course correction or a reckoning?
Also, she's not in charge of it. The DNI is a director, but they don't actually, the CIA reports to her, but they don't follow her orders. The DNI doesn't order them. She would be the coordinating group. This is like post 9/11. They created the DNI effectively, or made it important anyways. I don't know when was the first DNI? I'm fairly certain it's a relatively new thing. Hold on. DNI office created. Yeah, 2001. 2004. Sorry. Yeah, they created it in 2004. The Office of the Director of National Intelligence. So it's basically to coordinate. They're the part that's supposed to be the hinge point between, that's why he wants her there. Where the FBI talks to the CIA, and the CIA and Pentagon intelligence and other groups talk to each other. She's the hinge point in this, basically, so he can protect himself from scrutiny.
I love it. It's just like being at a party all week and all your best friends keep coming in. Tulsi, Vivek, good to see you. It's crazy. I can't wait to see who comes through the door tomorrow. Maybe it will be Dana Perino. You never know.
No,
You're keeping your options open, Dana. You said we'll see.
I said only ambassador to Tanzania.
Okay, we'll take that as a yes. Okay. Yeah, Tulsi, I like her because she's cynical. And that's what you need is someone that's managing the intel, because let's be honest, Greg, the intel people have not been great over the last, 80 years. We missed the missiles going into Cuba. We missed the collapse of the Soviet Union. Reagan got burned. Bush got burned. It hasn't been great.
There was no DNI, dummy.
Been in bed with Fauci. The last thing they did was that they saw that Russia was building up on Ukraine's border. That's good. So she'll do a great job. And
which they did do. I guess it was. So why not just leave Biden's team, since they're the one success you're pointing to?
Pete, I love, because he's going to root out the DEI and the CRT.
Yeah.
And he's also going to make sure all of these weapons systems aren't just being built by members of Congress and defense contractors, because we need to invest.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Pull this shit out of Wisconsin. Pull it out of North and South Carolina, Arkansas. Absolutely. These defense contractor facilities that build stuff, these ammo factories for bullets we don't need. Yeah, shut that shit down, buddy. Absolutely. I'm sure that's what he'll get after. Saving the American people's tax dollars, one unused airplane at a time.
And things that can win wars, not make people rich. I love RFK Jr. in this position because, Greg, we should be the healthiest country in the world, but we're the sickest country in the world. Why?
No, we're not.
Is America the sickest country?
We're not. We track more diseases. We're not the sickest. We do have a lot to do, but we also live longer, and there's a bunch of countries that don't do end-of-life care. European countries that we look up to, that basically a vast majority of the populace just believes at a certain point, you get old and fuck it. It's not worth fixing. Americans fix everything. And when we do, we develop techniques to fix those things, knees, shoulders, hips, all that kind of stuff that spreads throughout the rest of the world. And the rich people in those countries, in Italy and France and stuff, fly to the United States to get their hips done.
It shouldn't be like that. We should have the freshest food, the freshest water, and people should be excited about this.
Yeah, we need more regulations. I agree.
You have people right now, I think 30% of teens are pre-diabetic. Our life expectancy is like...
Everybody who gets diabetes is pre-diabetic before they do. And if you don't, then you're not. What they mean is by weight.
6 years less than Europe. Because right now, they poison you with the food and then they just feed you pills to cure you, and we just have to root out.
They do? Is that what they do? Obviously, you don't. Yeah, obviously, you don't They don't do that to Trump. They don't feed him junk food and then give him pills. He's not on any pills, is he? He doesn't get no. The White House physician's office didn't turn into a fucking pill mill.
That corruption. I'm looking forward to people losing weight. If anybody's been at the beach recently, it's not a good look. Never used to be like this, and it's because of what they're doing to the food.
Should his first
who are they?
Target be Trump and get Trump to let go of the Big Macs
If
or the
Trump can do it, we all can do it.
Exactly. He should be his first.
He can't do it.
Project. Donald Trump. So, Judge, Jesse brings up Pete. We good friends of ours. That can't make China and Russia happy because they bank on us, using DEI to further cripple our military.
Well, the great part.
He means hiring, I guess in theory, Asians of any sort, because what's the difference, right, Greg? Working in our military positions or whatever, obviously they're probably Chinese if you really think about it, and they're counting on us using DEI to hire Asians in certain positions so they can sneak more Chinese people in to steal our intellectual property and our military secrets. And then of course Russia thinks having black people serving in our military makes us physically weaker. Yeah.
Part about it is, if you'll remember when Biden first came in and Biden went to the UN, I think it was Anthony Blinken, he went to the UN and he said, we need to know how actually racist we are, the United States. And then we have our first meeting with China. And you remember China made all these comments like, you people are racist and you want to criticize us for the Uyghurs or whatever. It's kind of interesting. I think that the selection of Pete.
It is. It's kind of interesting. That is kind of interesting. It's not how it played out, actually. And everybody took it as such that when the CCP calls anybody racist in a racially homogenous country where they literally, as the Han Chinese, are trying to wipe out not just the Uyghurs, but any other version of Chinese people in their own country, you take it with a grain of salt.
Is phenomenal, not just because I know him, but because he is an individual who is so deep-rooted in his beliefs. There is no one who's going to shake him off the train that he's on. It's about, America first. It's about freedom, and it's about making sure that the American people are protected. And I think that all of these people, and I'm like Jesse, I'm so excited every day. I just heard RFK. I'm dancing upstairs.
Well, it's that's because you never had polio. Thank God.
Truth is that, we are so sick, and there is so much food that we eat in this country that we give to our children in terms of.
All right, wait a minute. How close are these motherfuckers to a Bloomberg junk food tax? Right? Again. What is he really talking about? What are they asking for? And it's fucking amazing that they're actually asking for this shit. But think about this for 1 second. What they are advocating for right now is for, I guess in theory, RFK Jr. to come in and create, or I guess carry to the ends of their legal limits, regulations on food additives to the level of that they have them in Europe. That's right. These fucking commie Marxist sons of bitches want us to have a food safety system more like Europe's, where they have a lot more regulations and food is more expensive because of it. And I got to tell you, most Democrats, and this is probably why RFK Jr. won over some of these folks, because they looked past all of his vaccine bullshit to additives are bad for everyone, that him making this happen. But listen to what they're arguing for. They are arguing for more regulations. That's the only way this happens. And the other thing is that I guess they're going to have to tax fast food, right? How else do you do it? What do you do? How do you make America healthy again if America's making themselves sick by the choices they make when they sit down to eat? There's two ways you do it. If it's because of choices they don't know they're making, because there's too much sugar or there's too many additives and stuff, then you have to pass regulations to get rid of those things. Right? Preservatives, all that other shit. You gotta strip that shit out, which means food doesn't last as long on the shelf, which means it's more expensive. Just period. Then what's the other option? What other option do you have? You tax consumption on unhealthy food. Right? It's the same thing with drill baby drill. You can only do it two ways. You can either give them subsidies, pay them to produce more because it will lower the cost or lower the value of the thing that they're selling. So you got to compensate them for it, or you got to put a gun to their head, make them do it through regulations. You have to force the oil companies to drill more and produce more because you insist. That's it. That's how you solve this too. This is all the shit they accuse Democrats of doing. And the irony is, if Trump ends up coming in and becomes, like, for all practical purposes, but for the tariff shit, a Democratic dictator, because the shit he ultimately ends up doing is shutting down the war machine and regulating our food, his people will kill him, figuratively. It's hilarious. And wait till he proposes this shit. Wait till Vivek and Musk come in and go, we got to cut this program for veterans because it hasn't been, we got to cut everything that hasn't been re-upped, and this hasn't been re-upped. So it's got to be part of the package of cuts that we got to make. It's about $3 billion, and we got to, it's for veterans, but you got to let it go. You got to, we got to cut all this shit. And what's he going to say? What's he going to say? Because all the big ones, the reason they're big is because they serve a lot of people and people need them. The little ones can come and go. He's going to end up cutting $40 million worth of waste from the U.S. government with a $1 trillion fucking budget. Same thing here. Fuck is he going to do? What does it look? What does it actually look like? Never mind the fact that this dickhead will come in there and try to change the concept of like the food pyramid in the United States, which is fucked anyways, and everybody knows it. Nobody follows it. The only people that follow it are school lunches, which is where they get fixated, and that's why Dana Perino brought up the USDA. Yeah, raw milk. Get the fuck out of here. That's a state thing anyways. Like, and again, so that fucking Amish people can sell raw milk to Pennsylvanians. How long does that last? Till people remember why we pasteurized it in the first fucking place. Right? How many people need to die? What's the E. coli breakout need to look like before these fuckers go, ixnay? Right? There's only two ways you fix the food system in this country and people's health. You either force them to make different choices, which will go over like gangbusters, and Republicans will love it more than ever. Red states, no more. What's a deep fried Snickers bar at the state fair going to cost, motherfucker? Because that's what we're talking about. And then the other one is regulate the food industry so that we have a closer system to that of Europe. That's what he's talking about, Mr. I go falconing on the weekend. Honestly, what else is he going to do? I mean, Americans, it's in your hands. You can eat better if you choose, right? We all have that ability. You can encourage it. So what's that? What's he going to do? Come out and pull a fucking Michelle Obama and tell everybody to eat more broccoli, and they'll tell him to go fuck himself? I mean, they obviously won't, because it wasn't the broccoli thing that they hated her about. There was something else about her. I can't figure out what it is, but what are you going to do? Yeah, no more corn byproducts and everything? Right, yeah, wait till this motherfucker, see how Iowa likes stripping high fructose corn syrup out of everything. For real. These motherfuckers will eat each other before they ever get around to fucking mifepristone or any of that shit. Right? Was it? Does any in chat room? Does anybody else have a third lane that I'm not seeing? Regulation or enforcement, like a personal enforcement, like through taxation or the elimination of options. What's the other version of it? What else? I mean, even if you think like the FDA has allowed certain stuff to go through that shouldn't because there's a revolving door of people who work in the food industry that work at the FDA and all that kind of stuff, complaints we've all had for a very long time. If you stop that, what does that mean? It means more strict regulations. That's what it means. Fuck else is he going to do? Honestly, and then so what's that gonna look like when he brings it about? What's the sit down look like? And any of these, I mean, fucking Matt Gaetz, a fucking scumbag, and what happens if terrorists, if anything bad happens in the United States, a terrorist attack happens with Tulsi Gabbard as DNI? Fuck does that look like? Right? I'm not wishing this on America. I don't want this stuff to happen. But if it does happen, you think Trump's going to hang over it? You think Trump's going to be the one that takes the blame? Hey, I put them in charge. That was my choice. Fuck no. Every suggestion that they've been making. And again, the Doge thing is not a department. It's a committee. He's got a committee. Every president has committees and advisors and people who suggest things. A lot of what they're going to suggest is operational stuff that the president does on the executive order level and the budgetary level, that in the discretionary fund that he gets to control. Every president does it. They're just going to say no to a bunch of shit. And there might be a situation where the Republicans back him on certain things that they want to undercut. But it take way too many votes, more votes than they have to kill the Department of Education, for example. So they'll try to choke it off. Right? But who gets hurt first when you get rid of the Department of Education? Red states. Blue states don't need those funds. Red states are desperate for those funds. And part of the reason why they can cut it now is because post-COVID, Biden built up schools all over the fucking country. They got new ventilation systems. They got new doors and windows, right? They got an investment system so that if they need to rebuild them without state funds, they have a slush fund to pull from. What's it going to look like? What is that? All right, moving on. Let's go to Homan. So this is the guy everybody's afraid of. This is the guy who can't wait to start tearing people out of their houses and having a bunch of like immigration versions of Ruby Ridge, right? I don't think Tucker Carlson will get a cabinet position because, quite frankly, I think Trump doesn't like him. I think he makes him nervous. He's weird. He's off-putting. His laugh is weird. He's been talking a lot of shit lately. I think he can't play the game. He's fucking odd. He'll help, but he won't be, he's not going to get a job. He's fucking, he's way out in fucking la la land. But Homan says, won't apologize for wanting secure border. Trump's border czar, Tom Homan.
Trump's border czar, Tom Homan, joins us tonight. And, sir, it's good to talk to you again.
That's the border behind him. It's wide open, and people are just driving through, and a lot of people are leaving. So
media is about to smear.
More people are driving out than coming in. It's already working. It's magic.
Hear you as public enemy number one for the job you're about to do. I suspect, though, you're not too worried about that.
No, they're already smearing me, but I don't care. Yeah. I really don't. I mean, I get tired, and every time I read a bad story, it's like putting fuel on my fire. They just fire me up. So keep writing all the bad stuff you want, because I don't care. They're not going to shut me up. I'm not going to go away. I won't be intimidated. As far as Governor Pritzker, saying he's got this law now where, they can't help us and we can't even detain people in their county jails. What does that mean? It means he's hurting these people even more, because we're going to arrest them regardless of what he says. If we have to take them out of state, away from their families, away from their attorneys, that's exactly what we're going to do. And using the term citizens and law-abiding, let me remind him, you cross the border illegally, it is a crime.
Right, but if they've gotten temporary protected status because the president gave them to them, for example, like the Venezuelans got from Donald Trump on his last day in office last time around, and he'll probably do it again to make life difficult, I suppose, for the next president who comes in, it should come as no surprise that that those people are in the country legally. Just because you don't like how they got in legally or what legal status they were given, they're still here legally. That's what they're talking about. They're not, by the way, and they're talking about people with TPS or DED status while they're being adjudicated, not after. If they're found guilty, the problem I also have is that Trump's plan seems to be, if you murder an American, we'll give you a free ticket home.
Every illegal alien in this country who enters this country illegally is a criminal by definition because they violate.
No, they're not. Exigent circumstances are exigent circumstances, and if you're running for your life and you cross the U.S. border, you're not a criminal. And if you claim asylum because that's specifically what you were doing, even if you weren't physically running at the time, if a dog chases me over the fucking border, I'm not a criminal. Do you understand? And if a cartel member or gang violence or the threat of murder chases me across the border, I'm not breaking a law. I'm not. I'm trying to claim asylum. Now you can adjudicate that, right? You can test that, but it doesn't mean I'm breaking the law by doing it. That's the issue. And if they would just talk openly about that, but they can't because they think if you're even positive at all about any kind of immigration or asylum, that it just rings the dinner bell and brings people here. That's their assumption about Biden. It was Title 42 that brought all these people, not the Biden administration. They were, from the very beginning, they're like, don't come in. But the Title 42 allowed people to try as many times as they want without getting a mark on their record because they don't even bother to keep track. And so they would just kick them out, kick them out, kick them out. Oh, Lynn, thank you so much. Remember, super chats are tips, and tips are tax-free now, apparently.
Title 8 United States Code 1325, illegal entry to the United States. If they're deported and came back, it's a felony. So they're not.
Yeah, under Title 8. Not under Title 42, which is when most of these people came across.
Law-abiding. They broke the law coming to the United States, and we're going to find them, and we're going to deport them.
Yeah, and I think there's even been Democrats that have admitted that they're all just gaming this asylum system, too. These are not asylum seekers. 9 out of 10 of them, if not more, are.
That's why they tried to change the asylum standards in the bill. They were like, we need to fix the standard by which you can declare asylum because people are using the old system and they're gaming it. That was in the bill.
Are clearly not asylum seekers in any way whatsoever. Most Americans think that illegal immigrants in this country should be deported. I think that's the most important thing that we all have to remember as this process goes on, because they are going to have the cameras out and they are going to be finding every sob story that they can to make this.
They're not going to have to look very far, dummy.
Seem like it is such a devastating thing. People voted for this.
People voted for it because there's a lot of sob stories. I've met hundreds of angel moms and dads who were separated from their children from ever because they buried them. We've had young ladies raped and murdered by people that were released in this country by the Biden administration. There's a lot.
Yeah, and by the Trump administration. Laken Riley's killer was like 17 when he entered the country on a standard set by Donald Trump because he was Venezuelan.
A lot of sad stories. Under the Biden administration, almost 4,000 aliens have died crossing this border because of the open border.
Why would they die crossing an open border? Huh? That's, I mean, it's a decent question. Why how do you die crossing an open border? What, did they all trip and fall? Is it just a bunch of junk laying around? What, did they bang their head on the wall, or is it just too hot to climb? What are you talking about?
We got 250,000 Americans died from fentanyl. How many parents buried their children because of the poison coming across that open border?
Yep.
We got
the precursors come from China and Arizona.
600% increase in sex trafficking. That's a sad story. So, and we got a record number of people on
caught. 600% increase in caught sex traffic. caught them. During the Biden administration, they were catching people. You do realize what you seize and what you catch is a bigger part of the story than what you make up in your fucking head.
There's Russia's coming across the borders. There's a lot of sad stories to tell. But bottom line is, for these governors and mayors to speak up saying they're going to put roadblocks in front of us, President Trump has made it clear. We're going to prioritize the public safety threats and national security threats first. So,
yeah, just like Biden did, which means, again, you're solving for what? What is that? 800 people tops. I'm just giving you a bald, like, fucking rando number. How many is that? 800 people? Serious national security threats, serious violent criminals that you catch that are just illegal immigrants, as opposed to somebody, that meant to come here and stay, as opposed to just going back and forth all the time and being involved in criminality with gangs and cartels, which is a different thing entirely. But people who came here to stay and they started some shit, or they brought their awful with them, or they had another plan, but they were meaning to stay here while they did it, right? That's an immigrant part of it. That's the immigrant. Otherwise, they're just illegally coming in and out of the country, engaged in crime. That's just cross-border criminality. It's a different thing. They're not immigrating here. And they're in jail for a reason. And what you're going to do is go, hey, horrible killer who worked for the cartels, come here. You killed 3 Americans and a couple of other immigrants. Come here. We're going to drop you off in Juarez, where you'll get, what, a hero's welcome like Maria Butina?
You're telling me, as a mayor of a city or a governor, you don't want us to take public safety threats out of your community? Yeah. You don't want us to take national security threats out of your community? To me, that's ridiculous. But the thing that amazes me every day I wake up, I started as a police officer in New York. My father was a cop. My grandfather was a cop. Cops used to be respected. Now, those who enforce the law, all of a sudden, we're the bad guys. And
also, because of you. There's a big thing about, look, there's a bunch of undocumented people. There are also a bunch of, adjacent undocumented. The rules around, marriage and getting a green card, people who are, married to an American are suddenly on thin ice about whether or not they can stay and all this stuff. And he wants to round them all up and run them out, too. And if something awful happens to them, they're not going to call the cops. And they'll die. Or they'll be sexually assaulted or robbed or assaulted, and they're not going to call the cops because they're afraid the cops are working with ICE to kick them out. And so it will cost them their lives. You want to catch them some other way, that's fine. But you can't weaponize 911 against vulnerable people. That's the point. And if you want to make the distinction, hey, if somebody's found guilty and does this, we'll get them out. And and if their wife or their partner or their child is a victim of violence or whatever, we'll either help them to relocate back to their country because they maybe came up here under duress, or we'll help them with their asylum claim if they have it because they've been living here for a long time and the kids don't even speak whatever the language that of their family, much like the DACA situation. That's how we started down this road.
Those who violate the law, they're the victims. The whole thing's upside down.
Yeah, well, that's the modern left. I mean, that's why this country's so screwed up. That's why our cities are unlivable, have been for 4 years, and they're just now starting.
Fuck are you talking about? He's in a city, you're in a city. Unlivable. Did you get coffee this morning on your way into work, you tit? Good Lord. You can take problems and challenges seriously without fucking chicken littling all over the fucking place, man.
To wake up to that. Tren de Aragua, speaking of which, this is
also, if they were that big a problem, you wouldn't have to run the same fucking piece of video over and over again. You think this is the only ring cam in all of Aurora, California?
This is one of the worst gangs in the world. Venezuelan gang has taken over.
If it's one of the worst gangs in the world, they wouldn't dress like Charlie Brown. And also, you'd have more footage of them than just this.
Apartment buildings in some cases. The gang is operating in multiple states.
It's the same shit. It's the same shit. It's the same video.
States in this country. Your job is going to be removing some of the most violent people in the world.
Fuck you. They do that all the time.
From inside of our country. And I'm wondering, that's really dangerous work. Are you worried about, potential gun battles breaking out as you try to do this? It's kind of work.
I'm very concerned. I mean, I've carried a badge and gun for 34 years, and I buried Border Patrol agents. I buried ICE agents, which is the worst part of the job in the world. Handing a flag to a child or a spouse is one of the worst things about the job. But look, I'm very concerned because these are dangerous people. But we got a job to do. We're going to do it. Trendig, Iowa, MS-13, they're on no.
At this point, we're just going to not even try to say that right. It's just Trendig. I recommend everyone on Newsmax just make a rando Arnold Schwarzenegger noise with your throat. Just
notice their days of terror are coming to an end. My gang's bigger than their gang, and they're going to be a priority. We need to get them out of here, and we need it. And the President Trump, when he gets back in office, Venezuela keeps pushing back. They don't want these people back. It's going to take a strong
Venezuela? I've never met him. Is he a nice guy?
President to make Venezuela take him back.
Right. And yeah, we got to make Venezuela take him back. Why is he? First of all, who is this Venezuela fellow in the first place? And why are we allowing him to get away? Ben sounds like a prick. I'm not afraid to say it. Okay? Venezuela.
Whether you take away their visas and shut down their visas, or whether you take some sort of embargo, or whether you take their international aid away, something. President Trump has proven, when I was ICE director, El Salvador won't take back MS-13. It took President Trump 2 days before he gave me the green light to load up some planes and send them south, because whatever discussion you have with President El Salvador, it works. So I can't wait for President Trump to get back in, because he would demand action.
Yeah.
You know what he said? You know what the argument was? You think we're going to cut off all the aid, and we'd be happy to take them back. Remember that story? Okay, it's bullshit. El Salvador was literally building supermax prisons to take a bunch of these folks and in their own country, and they're like, give us a little bit of time and we'll arrange for it. 48 hours. That's what they did. It wasn't. There didn't even need to be a threat.
No, it's going to be very interesting to watch. It's just going to be the polar opposite of what the last 4 years have been. Was there a reason that you?
Yes, there haven't been open gunfights in the street the last 4 years. Yeah.
No, there was a reason that you were named border czar and not head of ICE or head of DHS. Is there an advantage to being a border czar in this situation?
No.
I think with the border the way it is right now, this is catastrophic. Border failure, right? We went for the most secure border under President Trump, with the numbers at a 45-year low, illegal immigration down, 83 to 90%, depending on what time frame you looked at. This is President Trump's number one issue. It was number one issue in the campaign, and because
it wasn't. If it was his number one issue, he would have told them to pass the border bill, and he'll pass a bigger one when he gets in.
Because there's so much to fix on the border and this big deportation operation, he wanted to create a position that focuses solely on that. The Secretary of Homeland Security, not only do they have ICE and CBP, they got TSA, right? Yeah. They got FEMA, that needs to be fixed. They got Secret Service, that needs to be fixed. They got the Coast Guard, they got all this stuff. Personally, I think it's the worst job in the federal government, because you got all these agencies, many of them under this administration have been torn apart. So I think President Trump saw, look, this.
Just for the record, their budgets went up every year. They were never wanting for any funds, and if there was any shortage, like even when it came from FEMA, which gave the supplement for the funds that are used for immigrant housing, because it was an emergency, it emerged from the pandemic specifically. Every other aspect of that, they got all the money they asked for.
This is a big issue for me.
The Fowler guy saw that, and people are asking, somebody was asking earlier, what's the Crossbow Project? And I'm so glad somebody finally recognized it.
I want somebody that's going to spend 100% of the time on this. I'll work very closely with Governor Noem. It's not like we're going to be working separately. I'll work very closely with her, but I can take a lot off her plate, because I've done this for 3.5 decades. Right. I'll be working very closely with Steve Miller. I report directly to the president, so I shouldn't get a lot of pushback. So I think President Trump was smart by doing this.
Yeah. We found out.
Yes, effectively can't create another cabinet position because of Congress, so he'll just assign this to. It's an advisory position. They just call him that.
A random tweet last night on X that I thought was great. It said, Tom Homan seems impervious to female emotional blackmailing. Incredibly important quality. It's a funny tweet. It reminded us of this moment on 60 Minutes. Let's take a look.
Is there a way to carry out mass deportation without separating families?
Of course there is. Families can be deported together.
It's not a job for the faint of heart, what you're about to do. As you get started on it, I mean, you know, is there anything you want to tell the American people to expect as we get started here on January 20th?
Well, look, I'm not heartless, but let me explain something to you. Yeah. You know, and to your viewers, I spent 3.5 decades doing this, and the tragedies I've seen in my career, I can talk about now, but there's times I can't even talk about it. I break down. Look, I stood in the back of a tractor trailer and 19 dead aliens at my feet, including a 5-year-old little boy, all stripped down their underwear because they baked to death. I was in charge of that investigation. I was on the crime scene, and it changed me forever. I've talked to young girls as young as 9 years old. 9. Got on my knees and talked to these little girls who were raped multiple times by criminal cartels. Everything innocent and pure in that little girl was taken from them, and they'll never be the same, and their lives are ruined. So the 34 years of tragedies I have seen made me who I am today. Securing the border is going to save lives. That's what this is about, and I'm not going to apologize for it. So
yeah, but it's also going to turn away those who need help in mass. Again, imagine what happens to that girl if there's no America to go to. What do you think happens? You think she's going to be better off?
When people say, well, that's kind of a hard response, you got to understand, people, while you and I are talking right now, Rob, while you and I are talking right now, a child's going to die in that border tonight. Women are being raped by members of cartel tonight. Yeah. So we need to secure the border and save lives, and that's what it's all about. And the southern border is the biggest national security vulnerability this country has seen since 9/11.
So, sorry, those things are still going to happen just on the southern side of the border, I guess. You just don't want it to happen on our soil, seems to be the thing.
We know that the majority of the Border Patrol is off patrol taking care of these people. I get it. But when you take 70% of the agents off the line, that's when the fentanyl comes across to kill 250,000 Americans. That's when
No, Title 42 is the reason that happened. The first time these folks come through, they pay a coyote to get them across. They get kicked out immediately because of Title 42, and they can try again without getting a mark on their record. They'll come back through. And what they'll do is they'll carry fentanyl to do it. Or they'll bring someone else with them pretending to be a family unit, which is the human trafficking part of it. And then they'll do it again and again. And each time it gets more extreme.
Sex trafficking is up 600%. That's when the no-inspected terrorists are going to sneak in. The cartels create gaps in the system so they can pass the bad people through that don't want to be fingerprinted, don't want to be vetted. Over 2 million we know about. So yeah, I don't mince words.
Yeah, Title 42 lowered the response. That's what it was for. You just kicked them straight out. And you're talking about the ones that got passed.
We need to secure that border, and I won't apologize for it.
And you don't see any tears over any of the descriptions you just made over the trafficking into this country. What we've seen for the last few years, they don't care at all about that, but they are going to scream and cry when we start the deportation. That is true. I've got 10 seconds left.
Yeah, but asshole, you just described a situation where a 9-year-old girl was sexually assaulted over and over again. What do you think is going to happen to that 9-year-old girl when you kick her out of the United States? Right? How do you think the people who are trying to get here, imagine going through that with your family to get here. Imagine how bad the situation where you're coming from has to be. That that's between you and America, and you would rather go through that and stay in America. And these assholes are like, yeah, get out. You're a criminal. You broke the law. A little 9-year-old girl, you broke the law. Sorry, you shouldn't have tried that shit. We'll consider what happened to you time served. Jesus Christ.
How quickly will it, how long until people will start to see the difference and feel the difference in these American cities?
Day one.
Day one.
Day one. Day one, we're going to be out on the street. Day one, we'll be on that border. Day one, we're already putting the plan together. We're not waiting for the president to take office to have the plan together. We're working on the plan right now. I'll be heading down to Mar-a-Lago in a couple of days, and we're going to work on the plans right now.
Tom Homan, the new border czar. Sir, thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Yeah, they're going to start just rounding fucking people up. They're hoping that if they do it really quickly and they spend 21 days doing it, it'll just be awful for a month, essentially, and then it'll be behind them. It's not going to work that way. There's no way you round up quickly 3 million to 5 million people, or whatever the number they're hoping, because it's whatever it is, it's got to be, whatever Trump's number is, it has to be 2.5 million. Whether it's true or not, that'll be the number they float around, because it was 1.3 million with Operation Wetback. So he's going to want to dump that, on there. Also, somebody in here said Biden just kept printing money. The fuck are you talking about? We don't have inflation because of money supply, you goon. Do we really have a money printer go burr person in the chat? Like one of those trolls? Jesus, that's an old school troll. That's a 9-year-old talking point. The dollar's worth $1.05 right now. Nothing is worth more when you have too much of it. Does that work with your logic? You silly, silly person. Inflation is caused by the economy actually working. Yeah, it's necessary, right? Good Lord. Yeah. Well, I mean, one of the big things, the two primary energy was because it was negative $34 a barrel and nobody could move it. And then when we start up again, all the processing plants and everything were also shut down. How they really believe the money printer crap. I know. It's the dumbest fucking thing. You know why? You know why they believe it? Hold on. Let's see if I could find this asshole. Still making the same goddamn videos he's always made. John... Is that him? Yeah. This fucking dickhead. Hold on. This asshole. So, back in the day, I used to watch a couple of these videos because I was like, oh, I don't know, is he talking about economics and blah, blah, blah. And he's got to put this disclaimer over there. He does this whole thing.
Under no exception should you ever wear a MAGA hat in New York City. And I know yesterday I said Kitty popped me a good one with those man hands, but never let a black eye go to waste. And your comments yesterday were hysterical.
Yeah, that is great. Also, I would like to remind you, this is, we're just having some fun, folks. We're just doing a little video, and I just received an email from an insider, and this is all terrible. Let me show you what the, I wish I could show you what the fucking, maybe if I reload it, it'll show the, yeah, this is the fucking, look at this asshole's thumbnails. What the fuck? You're warned. And they all look like this. This motherfucker, this is one of these money printer go bird dickheads. Look at this shit. Shocked, prepare now. This is urgent. The end. Chaos now. It's much worse. Happens now. Chaos now. Prepare now. Chaos now. This is urgent. Get out. It's bad. Listen to this. This is not good. I am in shock. Chaos now. Pretty much fucking, look at this. Look at this shit. Prepare now, brace now, you were warned, holy shit, brace now, chaos now. I don't know how many times he reuses the fucking chaos now thing, whatever. I was shocked, today is bad, I'm in shock, chaos, truth exposed, chaos, this is panic, I'm in shock, it's dire, truth exposed, like, on, and fucking on, and fucking on, and fucking on. Look at this shit. And it's never, this is 6 months ago, this is, it's never changed. Never. The end. Get out. Breaking, it's chaos now. Happens now. Get out again. Get out. Brace now, listen now, it's chaos. Get out, listen to this, brace, critical, blah, blah. The end. My fucking God. You wonder where all these dipshits, what they were smoking during the election, where they're like, why does everybody think like the economy needs work? And it's, but we're doing so much better than the rest of the country, the countries in the world that are on equal footing with us, clearly. It's like, you don't pretend there aren't problems, but you also don't, you can't solve anything reasonable in fucking panic mode. Why do these assholes think that everything is just a fucking shitstorm all the time? Well, this is what they're smoking, kids. And he's not the only one. This is fucking, look at this. I'm scrolling straight through. Like, it just, and they're all the fucking same. It's the fucking end times, but, you know, we're kidding around. Fire, burning, targets of it, sell, get out, this is dire, this is big, wiped out, bank runs, Lehman, alarming news, it's begun, it's begun so many fucking times, I don't know when it, like, without an ending, I guess, is it equal, he should at least have equal end to beginnings, in theory. The worst is coming, this is big, terrible, they're lying to fit their narrative. Top U.S. general confirms war very soon. This was a year ago. Jesus Christ. This dude's like... this is like if Jimmy Dore was on Queer Eye for the Straight Guy. I'm very worried no one is ready. Prepare now. Cancel it. What the elites just admitted. Another China. Crash of the century. Watch out. Economy over. Economy over. Multiple times. Economy over. Wiped out. Here's he went through a phase here. Can't stop it. Alarming news. Panic. Worse. This dire. China now. Motherfucker. Do you see what I mean, chat room? That's by the way, that's part of the internet that we rarely see. I'll you know, back in the day I shared a few of this asshole's videos, and you know, I do, especially these days as news breaks, kind of move to the top of the line of these conversations and talk to kind of like the more well-known folks, but it's those like lesser known ubiquitous channels that just fucking vomit that shit on all over YouTube. And then people walk up to you, hey, you ever listen to Bravo? You're like, what are you talking about? He said, Jay Bravo, he's really great on, you know, like Wall Street, whatever the buzzword for the crypto. He's a good crypto guy, whatever. Always saying the same shit, always wrong, over and over and over again. God damn. And never admit it. Never admit, like, nobody goes, oh, well, I was fucked, I was wrong. Here, I'll show you another guy who's wrong all the time. This motherfucker. So, on the allegedly on our side of the aisle crowd, there's this motherfucker, Richard Wolff. Apparently, Richard Wolff thinks we're overusing the phrase authoritarianism when it comes to Trump.
Welcome, friends, to another Wolff Responds. I want to talk to you today about authoritarianism.
Okay, can you make it one word?
What I'd like to call the authoritarian hustle. Here's what it's about. The new way that leaders in the United States, political, media, big businesses, stodgy academics.
You fucking people in my chat room who look at fucking Trump and go, he's a wannabe authoritarian because he's said so. This is, by the way, this guy is a Marxist professor. Allegedly, he's a Jacobin. He's all over. Tom Hartman used to have him on all the time, right? To talk about, I don't know, workers' rights. He's like democracy in the workplace is one of his things, and it's all bullshit. Like this is he's one of these like. You know, in the Tulsi Gabbard, Jill Stein, fucking Lyndon LaRouche side of I'm for you. I like what you like. Let me tell you something. Jim Jones, the Kool-Aid guy, seriously adopted a group of kids that looked like the same one that Angelina Jolie adopted. Like he was really progressive racially during that time and all that stuff, right? And then killed everybody. Yes, Wolf is a gold pimp. That's true.
The way they do.
He's also got a huge 401k. He's very well to do. He's got, you know, and again, an academic, which is so funny that he's saying stodgy academic when you can literally smell that room.
Talk about good and bad in politics has now become democratic. That's a good one. An authoritarian. That's the bad one.
Yeah, authoritarianism isn't bad. What's wrong with you guys?
For the older among you, let me explain. I have to translate. It used to be democracy versus socialism or communism. Well...
Wait. I'm sorry. So you think this is a dodge? Authoritarianism is just is what they're using as a substitute for communism, and that Trump's a communist?
Well, that went out of fashion, and so we know
they lost. You lost, Rock.
Now have democracy versus authoritarian.
Ism.
It's the same silly effort by childish people.
Jesus Christ. Listen to this motherfucker. Yeah, Timu Bernie Sanders. He had Bernie's ear for a good long while.
To do another round of we're good, they're bad.
Fuck you. We are good and they're bad. Democracy, you asshat. This asshole runs a thing called democracy in the workplace. He thinks you should be able to democratize all jobs, that the workers should all have an equal say with the people who run it because he thinks hierarchical businesses are terrible, but he's okay with it in government? What the fuck?
We Americans are the goodness.
I am not slowing this down. This is at regular speed.
And they foreigners, they are way less good, and a good bunch of them are downright bad. But good and bad sound like the childish terms they are.
Okay. Do you want me to go through each of their activities and define them as bad? Sorry, explain to me how, it's all, we need to get into the gray areas. Authoritarianism can be, it's got its ups. It's got its good sides. I'm serious. This motherfucker. What the shit?
So instead, we're going to say democracy versus authoritarian. You all know this story. Yeah,
I think he sounds drunk too. I don't think you should drink and post, personally.
Hear it often enough. So here it is. The United States is good. Russia is authoritarian. The United States and Western Europe are good.
And there it is.
And democratic. And Russia and China and the BRICS, well, they're authoritarian.
Good Lord. Yeah, he's drunk. He got his talking points and he's like, I'm going to need about a gallon of bourbon before I can say these on the air. And they are, by the way. I haven't been to Russia, but I've been to China. They're exactly that, motherfucker. They are exactly that.
You know, the idea of democracy is a good one.
The idea. The practice, though.
An authoritarian is clearly a bad one. But using words like this, simple-minded words, let's go back to what they actually mean.
How about this? No, I don't think we don't have to. You can if you want to. Fuck me. But how about explaining to me how Russia and China aren't in any way? Give me anything they do that doesn't fall under authoritarian. Right. Under authoritarianism, as it were. Hold on, I need to. Where's this? There we go. Say authoritarianism again, motherfucker. Say it again.
A democratic anything is when you have all of the decisions that affect people being made by those same people. We govern ourselves.
Right. For better or worse, majority rule in voting. Yes, that's what we do. Yes.
We make sure that anybody who's in a position of leadership is accountable. One person, one vote. That's the idea. An authoritarian is when you don't do that, when you have a single person or a very small number of people with the power to tell all the rest of the people how it's going to be and what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, Russia's a fake democracy, clearly, but China, that's exactly how it's run. Literally, the Chinese Communist Party picks its leader. It's not even the CLA, the Chinese Liberation Army, is not the Chinese army. It's the army of the CCP.
This is sort of clear, but if you try to apply it to the United States versus other countries, it doesn't fit, like a shoe that's several sizes too small.
Or too big, I suppose. It wouldn't fit. I mean, there's multiple ways that they could fit.
You shouldn't even try. It's kind of silly.
Jesus. This, by the way, this is the guy who drove votes to Jill Stein and Bernie Sanders back in the day. This is the guy who argues for democracy in the workplace. That's the name of his show. Who was part of the Jacobins that was that Anna Kasparian was part of. And I think it should be abundantly clear that if we look back on it, this was all just paid bullshit so he could get on our side of the aisle and cut us from the inside.
Let me show you why that's the case. I went and voted like millions of others on the 5th of November.
And I'm still drunk.
I went into the booth here in New York City, hoping to cast my vote for someone other than the two main candidates if I had that choice. I know which one I would choose if I had to choose between the two main candidates. I am a New Yorker, and you know where that's going. But I had wanted to see who else was running. Imagine my surprise when I discovered that nobody else is running. No, wait. They are running, but some authority took them off the ballot, wouldn't let them on.
That's because you have to reach a certain standard so you don't gum up the ballot. You can't just say I'm on. You got to get the signatures. You got to qualify. We have to have an organized government, you dumb motherfucker. Sorry, the authorities, having authority now makes you authoritarian. That's the standard.
Wow. There are places in the United States where third and fourth party candidates who went through all the hoops designed to keep them off to get on, and are now discovering legally that the authority has said if you vote for anybody other than Trump or Harris, your vote will not be counted. Posted right up there in the voting area in more than one state. Wow.
Yeah, no. Each state has the right to make standards of their qualification, and there's only one fucking chance that either person will get there. You're not. It's a wasted vote anyways, and anybody just being a spoiler or filling out the fucking form. Bigger states, especially richer states, have higher standards because there's a higher chance of fuckery.
That's authoritarianism.
No, it isn't. It's simply having a standard in your elections. If you could build up a party over time, you could trounce the others. If the Green Party wasn't just having Russian fucking spoilers.
But let me give you even sharper examples.
That was not a sharp example at all, so the standard is pretty low.
Most Americans, or at least a large number of them, work for something called a corporation.
Oh dear.
Let's see how the corporation is run. Do all the employees...
Remember what I was telling you about the democracy in the workplace, what this fucker's talking about?
...have a vote to decide democratically what their enterprise, their workplace will do? What it will produce, what technology it will use?
No, they don't. But they can also leave anytime they want. It's not their company. Good Lord.
Where the production will happen, what they'll do with the revenue? No. a tiny group of people, utterly unaccountable to all the employees, makes those decisions.
No, actually, you are accountable to the employees. They can fucking leave. And if they can not sign a contract with you if you're a shit employer, or they can go work for somebody else. The corporations, look, you can't make the corporations fucking. It's not like they can't be terrible, but this kind of like blanket thing that fucking Cracker Barrel needs to listen to what its waitresses and waiters, what knickknacks. They have a meeting about what the fucking impulse gum will be next to the register because the dude in the kitchen has some ideas. Like, it's silly. And by the way, this asshole writes books. None of the people at the printing press have any say whatsoever in the content of his books. Maybe here's a good idea. Maybe your students should be able to pass your class simply by walking out.
It's the opposite of democracy. You know what you might call it? Authoritarian.
No, it's a hierarchical business structure. But they don't have the authority over anybody that doesn't work in the business. The government is different. Does this asshole think that like Chinese companies and Russian companies are co-ops?
The CEO is a dictator inside the company.
No. No, if it's a publicly traded company, the stockholders have a say in whether or not that person gets hired or fired, what their package will be like. It can even be taken to court if they get too much. It can be the CEO could be the person who started the company or somebody who's hired to caretake the company. They have to report to the CFO. They have fiduciary duty to the investors. What are you talking about?
Can do virtually anything he wants.
This is Richard Wolff. Richard Wolff is allegedly on our side.
Certainly to the employees, right up including firing them. In most cases, the vast majority that have...
Right. But leaders of countries can't fire their citizens. That's why authoritarianism in a government is more dangerous than in a corporation. Because there are other corporations. But if you live in a country, there's only one government. And if they decide to be authoritarian and fire you, that means rounding you up and fucking killing you, you dumbass. Good Lord.
No protection, no union, no contract.
What are you talking about? Biden was the most pro-union president we've ever had, and you're looking for a third-party candidate.
They're fired if the employer wants to fire them.
Not if it's against their fiduciary duty to the investors. If they fire somebody who is necessary to the company, don't believe me? Ask Sam Altman.
It's an authoritarian economic system.
No, it isn't. The economic system of an internalized corporation is not the economic system around it. As a matter of fact, it's a fish swimming in that ocean. The fish is not the ocean, you absolute asshole.
And we all live in it.
No, we don't. We live among it.
It's not over there. It's not foreign. It's very American. As American as apple pie.
Jesus Christ. 2 days ago. This video has 26,000 views. He's got 200,000 subscribers on this fucking channel.
So who's calling who authoritarian?
What? All right. Yeah. You get my point? That is, if you look at who chipped away at Democratic support for the Democratic Party and the actual function, the one that gave us an infrastructure bill and a rescue package and the CHIPS Act and the most diverse cabinet in our history and our first like women of color on the fucking court and like the first black woman on the court, like these are the people who chipped away. These are the people. Not the other side. Your opposition is your opposition. They're always going to shit on you. But the people who cut your fucking Achilles heel from the inside, it's motherfuckers like Richard Wolff. It's assholes like TYT who used to have him on as well. That's who did it. And it's beyond the fact that it's gibberish and childish and intellectually vapid and philosophically useless, it's also violently wrong. He's just materially wrong about what he's talking about. Period. And again, I love Tom Hartman, but he used to have that motherfucker on all the time. For all I know, he still does. Does anybody, I love Hartman, but anybody know if he's had this fuckwad on there recently in the last 6 months? Because last year he was fucking all over the place. TYT tried to push Jon Stewart wants sex changes for children the other day. Yeah, that's what they do. It's like these motherfuckers that have watermelon slices in their Twitter handles and in some cases in their Blue Sky ones. Block. You don't get to sneak in. Look, symbology and the names that you run on. I'm an economic, I don't know, I'm for democracy in the workplace. That's what his show's called. You don't get to just call it that. And I'm like, oh, you must be a good guy. No, he hasn't? Oh, good, Mary. Well, I thank you, Tom, for finally listening to me. Because fucking A. Yeah, Phil Ittner took his place. I hope to God I'm responsible partly for Philip Ittner bumping Richard Wolff off of Tom Hartman. But this is all last year. When everybody's going like, wait, it's the prices of goods are coming down. We're managing our, the post-pandemic stuff pretty well. Who was out there with the fucking razor blades cutting away at Biden-Harris? So anybody who's talking about right now, what was the final nail in the coffin or the last slice in a death of 1,000 cuts? It's a dumb argument. It's a dumb conversation. It happened all along. And at this point, like, no more. If you come at me and you're allowed to have whatever you want in your fucking bio and shit and you use your stickers, but if you start policing that on anybody else, if you don't have this rose or we're all doing a blackout in our thing or you put the black cube or you put the fucking this flag or a rose or any of that shit, if you do any of that shit in your social media, that person should be jettisoned immediately if they're making other people do it. If they try to coordinate that shit. Have a whole conversation. Don't be afraid to have the whole conversation. You don't need passwords. You don't need... Mike Pillow wears a fucking cross on his lapel, and it's bullshit. He's not a Christian. It's a fucking farce. And if I can recognize that, other people could start to recognize that just because people like the words you like doesn't mean they like the ideas that you like or that they're on your side. Doesn't mean you have to automatically write them off, but they don't get a free pass. And so from this point on, folks, we're, if I have any say in this shit, and I think I will, is we're jumping past the jargon. Anybody who tries to use their label as a way of muscling their way to the front of the line can go fuck themselves because it's too easy to commandeer. If you know the password and you're wearing the right fucking colors or you're wearing a cross on your lapel or an upside down cross on your lapel, I don't give a shit. You don't automatically get a pass. We need to know what you really think and what you really believe. Again, I won't automatically exclude somebody, but I'm not gonna give you a pass. Yeah, it's too easy. It's gross. And Wolf is one of those people. I says 1971. Happy birthday tomorrow. Have a great birthday tomorrow. I hope it's lovely. I think it's lovely to wish people a happy birthday the day before their birthday, because you want them to have a happy birthday from whenever it starts, whether they celebrate from midnight, which some people do, or from their birth time, which I think is also valid. I also think if you want to extend it for the week, you are absolutely allowed. I says 1971. Your happy birthday and happy birthday week. Okay, see this symbol right here? I made that. That's my symbol. That represents me. And what it means is that I believe a person is the sum total of their works and the sum total of their beliefs and their contradictions. You are not who you aspire to be, and you are not your failures. You are a mix, a tension between those things. That's who you actually are. And so you should be celebrated for who you are as a human being, a complete human being. Not just the parts you get right. Right? I mean, that's my humanity symbol. I think people have worth beyond the parts of themselves that they can commodify. And so that is the essence of, I drew that symbol on a piece of paper to explain to my acting teacher why I still needed to do stand-up and why I still needed to sing and why all of the different types of art and my hobbies with, physics and robots and all that shit that I do all of that is me. And none of it contradicts. And the tension and pull between all of those things makes me the human being I am. The good and bad in me, the distractions and the hobbies and the life paths and the identities, all of it. To no exclusion. And it supersedes all possible other symbols to me. Right? Because no other element of me is greater than the rest. That's the point. And it became more important to me since COVID. That symbol became more important to me since COVID because of all the people who either want to pretend they don't have any of the problems that they do and hide them all, instead of just recognizing the tension between the two. Me making this job look easy doesn't mean it is easy, but it doesn't mean I'm faking either. This is how I do it. And I'm not going to martyr myself on a cross of my own making. Doesn't work. It's not what I'm going to do. But I do want you to know that I feel the same about you. That I know you're full of contradictions or things you perceive as contradictions. And the tug and pull between your better nature and your best self and your worst self, the breadth of your knowledge and the breadth of your distractions makes up who you are as a person. And that's who I'm really talking to when I talk to a person. I'm not talking to the best self they're showing to me because they want to be polite, and I'm not talking to the person who the most shameful thing you've ever done in your life. People are bigger than that. And that's why I can soldier through this stuff, because that's what gives me the strength to do it. Because I am often inspired by every human being I meet and panicked by the glory of life. Even in its worst moments, it brings out the best in people, like clockwork. And that's important to me. It's a standard. And it doesn't have to be anybody else's. And I hope that you either find a symbol that that you recognize as that in yourself, or you use this one because it's totally fine. And all our people, the Patreons, the Blue Patch Brigade, that they've got one. But that's what it means. You're not the worst of you, and you're not the best of you. You're the tension between those things. And that's what makes you a human being. That's what makes you important as a human being. That's what gives you depth and beauty. And it also is what should make you sympathetic and empathetic to even those you vilify in certain moments. Doesn't mean you have to agree with them. As a matter of fact, the tension of those thoughts is what makes you a good person, fighting against your baser nature. Those who have lost the battle, you can at least recognize that their arrows are uneven. It's crucial that you recognize that we all have the capacity for awful. And once you do, and you come to terms with it, and you recognize that the good in you is always at odds with that, and you can recognize where other people have lost that battle, and you can make a balanced decision in your own life as a human being about how to handle that. The one good thing that I think Marianne Williamson, I heard her say that actually stuck with me years ago was, unconditional love is not unconditional like. Unfortunately, it would come back to bite her in the ass. I'm sorry, Kelly, we'll get you one. This is, it's a crucial part of this. So anyways, I digress. It is crucial that you recognize that we are all, our flaws are part of the beauty. Because I know that you have things you struggle against, thoughts, feelings, emotions. We all do. And the fact that you do is fucking amazing. It's not that you don't have those thoughts. It's that you put one foot in front of the other in spite of that thing. That you are not fearless, you are fear-free. You still have it, but it doesn't own you. But you're aware of it so you can be aware of it in other people who maybe are overwhelmed, who can't. Just my 2 cents for today.